My name is Yanxin Liang. I am a master's degree of applied linguistics, Faculty of Liberal Arts, Mahidol University. I would like to represent my paper on the topic of a review of methods for analyzing cultural aspects in Thai textbooks used in Chinese universities วิธีวิเคราะห์ด้านวัฒนธรรมในหนังสือแบบเรียนภาษาไทยในบริบทมหาวิทยาลัยจริง For the annual National Conference of Liberal Arts 2021 on Thursday, 8th of July 2021, organized by Faculty of Liberal Arts, Thammasat University. My presentation will cover mainly 5 parts: introduction, research methodology, findings, conclusion, and acknowledgement. The first part is introduction. The main points in this part are the relationship between culture and language, the condition of Thai as a foreign language in China, and the relevant and essential studies. As for the relationship between language and culture, Klum's 1993 pointed that language is the carrier of culture, and Kronk 2016 pointed that culture influences people's behavior. Therefore, we can see the culture and language are inseparable, just as Note 2006 described that they are two sides of the same coin. Therefore, my presentation today will relate culture, language teaching to culture. The next part, I will introduce the condition of Thai as a foreign language in China. According to Jilapas 2019, there are 45 Chinese universities offer the Thai language as a major program or subject course. It indicated that Thai as a foreign language is popular with Chinese university students. With the increasing number of students choose to learn Thai as a foreign language, problems and challenges have been reported when the TFL course was implemented in Chinese universities. There are several studies relevant to TFL Chinese students. Panpo Jananat and Laping 2020 reported that Chinese students experienced culture shock when they first arrived in Thailand, even though they had learned Thai language for about 2 years. Delacha 2019 suggested that cultural factor could promote Chinese students' intercultural communication during their study in Thailand. Sipanpon Lasakun and Pantotong 2020 also investigated that culture is one of the reasons for students' inaccurate expression of disagreement. They studied or demonstrated that cultural aspects become a barrier to effective intercultural communication for Chinese TFL students. On this slide, we can see the current situation on TFL in China is imbalanced. We can find the relevant study focused on linguistic domains, teaching and pedagogical development, and the motivation and learning strategy. However, as for TFL textbooks, there is still a shortage. Wieninger 2018 and 2020 described that textbook are conceived as a main cultural artifacts in foreign language teaching. Therefore, research on the TFL textbooks is important to support Chinese TFL students' cultural learning. Therefore, the research objective in the present study is to review theories and frameworks for analyzing cultural aspects in the Thai textbooks used in Chinese universities, and the research methodology used in the present study is reviewing literatures. As for the finding parts, series of approach for foreign language teaching and testing, and the conceptual frameworks of cultural aspects will be introduced. The first section, two theories will be introduced. They are communicative competence and intercultural communicative competence. Communicative competence, stated by Cannell and Swain, 1980, include grammatical competence, social linguistic competence, and strategic competence. Later, Cannell, 1983, added discourse competence to it. Grammatical competence refers to knowledge of lexical items and of rules of morphology, syntax, sentence grammar, semantics, and phonology. Social linguistic competence refers to social cultural rules of use and rules of discourse. Strategic competence refers to verbal and nonverbal communication strategies that may be called into action to compensate for breakdowns in communication. As for the discourse competence, it refers to the ability to organize coherent sentences. Intercultural communicative competence stated by Bailam, 1997, include four competences. They are linguistic competence, social linguistic competence, discourse competence, and intercultural competence. This picture shows five factors in intercultural communication. They are knowledge, attitude, skills of interpret and relate, skills of discover and interact, and the critical cultural awareness. Relating to Chinese National Standard of Foreign Language Teaching for undergraduate students issued in 2018. Bailam's 1997 ICC model is more appropriate for the analysis of TFL textbooks used in Chinese university because it turned the attention of researchers and educators to intercultural competence and meet the goal of developing students' intercultural communicative competence proposed by Chinese national curriculum. The next part, three conceptual frameworks will be introduced. The first is Page et al. 1990s model of cultural learning, in which cultural learning includes learning culture in general and culture in specific domain. Culture in general refers to knowledge, skills, and attitude that are more generalizable in nature and transferable across cultures. For example, the culture shock that overseas Koreans may face upon their return to Korea is related to culture in general. Culture in specific refers to culture, knowledge, skills, and attitudes relevant to a given target culture. It further divided into big C culture and small C culture. Big C culture is easily seen and readily apparent to anyone and memorized by learners. For example, the table manner in the US. Small C culture is invisible and deeper sense of the target culture. For example, asking for a discount with salesman reflect the notion of confrontation. Next, Yuan's 2011 model of culture aspect. It's also called 4PS model. It includes products, practices, perspectives, and persons. Products refers to visible and invisible artifacts of a group, people, or community. For example, Dongyang soup. Practices refers to the patterns of people's behavior in a certain culture. For example, the custom of Thanksgiving. Perspectives refers to attitude, values, and beliefs that people within the same culture view the world. For example, people's perception of reality show. Persons refers to the representative people of a given target culture. For example, Stephen Hawking. The last model is proposed by Kotazzi and Jing, 1999. According to Kotazzi and Jing, 1999, textbook should include three types of culture. They are source culture, target culture, and international culture. Source culture refers to learners' own culture. For example, in the analysis of Chinese TFL textbooks, Chinese culture is regarded as a source culture, and the Thailand culture is regarded as a target culture. As for the international culture, it refers to the cultures that are neither a source culture nor the target culture. For example, American culture. A few years later, Alec Barry, Alec Barry, 2004, added neutral culture to Kotazzi and Jing's cultural types. Because in the actual study, there are some cultural representations cannot be divided into any types of a target culture. For example, the scientific knowledge. Page et al. 1999 model and Yuan 2011's model all described the depths of cultural aspect. However, the culture in general domain of Page et al. 1999's model shows the advanced aspect because the knowledge relevant to culture in general is the precondition for learning the cultural knowledge in a particular group of people. Yuan's 2011 model of 4PS are all related to the cultural learning in the specific culture. The culture model of Alec Barry 2004 on the other hand, presents the breadth of cultural aspects. Therefore, the cultural model of Page et al. 1990s model of cultural learning and Alec Barry's 2004 model of cultural types are all suitable for analyzing cultural aspects in TFL textbooks used in Chinese universities. As a conclusion, the effective method for analyzing cultural aspects is integration of Page et al.'s 1990s model of cultural learning and Alec Barry 2004's model of cultural types on the basis of Balaam's intercultural communicative competence. This table is an example of using the method in the actual study. For example, Tom Yum soup in here is belong to Thailand culture, which is regarded as a target culture, and it also related to the Big C culture. So the integration we can integrate it like this. Finally, I want to thank not Dr. Natapon Danyu, Faculty of Liberal Arts, Mahidol University, for acting as my advisor in the research. This is the end of my research. If you have any question, I would be happy to answer it. Thank you very much.